The incident was one of many in the Bronx during the summer of 2020, which was one of the worst periods in almost a decade. Because of this, NYPD decided to send peace and safety units across the Bronx. Each precinct would deploy a crew of officers who would walk around, talk to people, and try to maintain the peace. Well, for the 52nd precinct, the crew was led by a very controversial officer. This would be Officer Gina Mestre, who's known for her good looks but also her terrible track record. In under 7 years of being an officer, Gina racked up 34 complaints about misusing her power and breaking laws. She also cost the taxpayers over $1 million in 10 separate lawsuits. Well, given this, assigning Gina to patrol the SB area was a recipe for disaster. And what do you know, over the summer of 2020, Gina formed a relationship with one of the men she was supposed to watch out for. This happened to be Caballo, the Riz God himself. Long story short, Gina and Caballo started dating in August of 2020. At first, SB members were skeptical, assuming that Gina was using him to get information. However, Caballo was sure that this was the real deal and that Gina was on his side. How he knew this? Well, Gina was sending him classified police information and warning him of potential raids. She even told him to lay low because police had their eyes set on the SBs. So Caballo and his fellow members decided to chill out for the time being. But then bad news would come their way. November 4th, 2020. It's a regular fall day and the SBs are deep outside in front of Devo Park. All of the high-ranking members are having fun outside like they aren't the most hated in the city. Well, little do they know, 2 cars full of rivals are driving their way at 8 p.m. At 8:15, the cars park on the corner and the rival members hop out. They then run inside the park with no hesitation. 2 unnamed SB members were hit, but thankfully they both made it. Regardless, Caballo was pissed and he wanted revenge as soon as possible. He instantly texted Gina and informed her that he wanted to go get revenge. She smartly told him to lay low until the smoke clears on the investigations. But Caballo was too angry and he could not wait to get back. Here is where things get interesting. The next day, November 5th, 2020, 9 a.m. Caballo puts on a blue hoodie, a black puffer, and a black hat. He leaves his apartment with no mask, hops in his white Toyota, and drives to his destination. He heads down Highway 87 to the neighborhood Mount Eden. He then parks and walks down Cromwell Avenue, a street with nothing but car repair shops. As he's walking down the street, he's looking for one particular car, a black Acura MDX with tinted windows. At 9:41, he spots the MDX in front of a van, so he instantly reaches into his pocket and runs up to the car. As it turns out, Angel was a Trinitario rapper by the name of Jayla Sombre. This was a devastating loss for the Sunset Trinitarios, especially as Caballo used to be his friend. Well, the next day, Officer Gina sends Caballo surveillance footage that clearly shows his face. However, because the incident took place in the 44th precinct, the local officers did not recognize his face. And as you would expect, Gina decided not to intervene. But she did tell Caballo that it's only a matter of time, and if they do ask her, she will have to identify him. Well, that day would come and the surveillance was brought to Gina. Right away, Gina texted Caballo and told him to get the next flight out to the Dominican Republic. So Caballo fled the country that same night and decided to hide out in the DR. And that's when Gina had to officially identify the man in the video as Andrew Dunn. After this, Gina and her crew served multiple warrants throughout the Bronx as she pretended to not know where he is. They then searched his flight history and found that he had fled to the DR. From there, police searched for him, but for whatever reason, he kept being absent during their raids. This would continue for quite some time. In the meantime, the SBs would be without their commanding leader. But this did not mean that their presence in the streets was done by any means.